Hello crafty friends! In this video I'm going to make a card using the parameters from this week's Craft Roulette. How far will I stretch them this week? Let's find out. The first step was to make my card panel with a background. I wanted it to be simple, so I decided to go with this stencil that I actually made a while ago on my Cricut. It's a little flimsy. It's not as thick as bought stencils, so I had to be a little careful. And I just used some 3 shades of green that I have from Simon Says Stamps. I picked Pine, Aspen, and I think Spruce. And I just went darkest to lightest. That little dark spot I wasn't too worried about because I felt like it was like a little shadow of where my die cut Christmas tree is going to be sitting later, the Tim Holtz one. So I just kind of left it there. And then I went with the second lightest and I just moved my stencil over so that the trees have a little bit of a different sort of height. And it looks a little different going up. And then finished that one. I'm using the waffle flower grip mat to hold my stencil instead of taping it down. It sticks so well. Sometimes it's really annoying to take it off, especially this stencil because it's long and kind of flimsy. But I made it work. You just kind of pop it and it eventually comes off. And when I was done with the 3, when I was looking at it, I thought it needed a little bit more. So with what was left on my brush and what's on the stencil, I just added a little bit more. It's really light. It probably could have been even darker. The Christmas tree die cut that I'm going to put on top of this background takes up most of the front. Hey, just a quick reminder, please like and subscribe. Thank you! So as I set that aside to dry, I'm going to work on my die cut. This is a Tim Holtz Christmas tree one. If it's still available, I'll put it in the description below. It's too big for an A2 size card, which is one of the parameters. So I decided to just cut the bottom off and not use one of the layers, the very first layer. I used the little part that I cut off to test the pine colored ink and see if it was dark enough to add shadow to each layer. Since I was happy with it, I decided to just add it to the edges of each die cut. I probably should have used my grip mat because it was like rolling up a little bit, but I was actually too lazy to go get it again, even though it was sitting right next to me. What kind of crafty corners do you cut when you're crafting? When you look back and you're like, why didn't I just do that? Leave that in your comments below. Now I get my glue press out to glue it all down. I'm still using the Nuvo glue that came with it, and it is still pouring out like milk. So by the time I finish this bottle, I'll probably have it down. And then I'll move on to my glue that I have in my stash, which is our glitter glue, which is, I think, thicker, and I'll have to learn how to use it all over again. I've never used this die cut, although I've had it in my stash for a while. The top of the Christmas tree is so thin, it's tricky to make sure that you get each layer of die cut on top of it because every single one of these layers has that pointy top. To keep the glue off my mat, trying to keep that as clean as I can, I put a little piece of parchment paper that I get from the Dollar Tree so that the glue spill off will go on that and not my mat. So in this die cut set is this little bottom for the tree. It was such a tall die cut that most of that doesn't, I mean, I needed something. I guess I didn't have to. It could have just been sitting on the ground, right, if it was outside. I just put it together and glued it to the bottom where a little bit is peeking out to sort of help ground it, I guess, on the front of the card. Before I glued it, I just added a little walnut stain just to get a little shadow, but I don't even think you see it because only a little bit peeks out from the bottom of the tray. Next, I'm just going to glue both pieces to my little background that I made, and then I'm going to move on to die cutting out the other parts, which is going to be out of my fancy paper, which is the random parameter. Next, to do all the little fancy pieces of paper, I decided to run them through my little Xyron sticky back thing that I have that I rarely use. So this was a great time to do that. It really makes the star and the little Christmas ornaments that are cut out of that glitter paper to stick so much easier than putting a little dab of glue. You just pull off the back and you're done. So after you run it through. You just have to burnish the glue on the back, and then you can run it through your die cut. I run it through twice because the paper was a little thick, and then it has the sticker back, but it cut beautifully. And then I just pop them out and add it to the front of the card, and no glue. And it's actually pretty sticky. They have permanent and readjustable. I'm using permanent. I find that this works best with the shiny paper because if you get glue on it, you can usually see the little glue residue on this gold shiny paper and even sometimes the glitter paper. But when you put the sticker on the back, then you don't have to worry about that. These little ornaments have like a shadow layer and a little cutout layer, but because of the glitter paper, I decided just to use the first layer, which is the solid one. So the color parameter was holiday, so I went with Christmas, and the colors that I picked for the Christmas ornament reminded me of the Christmas tree lights that are the rainbow Christmas tree lights. The last step was to add a Christmas sentiment, just Merry Christmas. I'm using the Jennifer McGuire method or tip way of making sure your sentiments are straight on these little strips. I'll leave that video in a link below. It's really cool. She talks about how to build this little template that I'm using and how to use it. But essentially, you just stamp your stamp on a scrap piece of paper, then put the template over it and line it up so it's straight. Put the magnets down, and then you put your strip in, and then it's straight. It's great. It works every time. Then I just used my little guillotine to cut off the edge, and I was done with my sentiment. I'm going to add some foam squares to the back just to pop up because of the fancy paper, because it gave it some bulk. And these are from Dollar Tree, and they're annoying to remove the backs, but I'm using them up. And I just popped it there, which looks a little crooked, but that's okay. It's a handmade card. Alright, parameter checklist. A2 size card, check. Element from the mountains, that's why I use that stencil of the trees. And going into the background, it looks like a mountain. And colors, I used well, it's holiday, I used Christmas colors. And random was fancy paper, so I used glitter and gold. Alright, looks like I got them all. No stretchy pants required. Thanks so much for watching. Have a crafty day.